Here's a question every leader eventually faces. How do you get the visibility you need without losing the trust of your best people? We need visibility. But what if chasing that visibility is exactly what drives your best people out the door? This tension is real for BPO leaders, agency partners, and IT operations teams alike. And the data proves it. Extreme monitoring doesn't just frustrate employees, it actively erodes job satisfaction and trust. In fact, 1 in 9 employees have quit specifically because of extreme monitoring. The difference isn't whether you monitor, it's whether you do it secretly or openly. People don't hate visibility. What they hate is secrecy. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to roll out Super C transparently and responsibly without losing your best people. So why do most monitoring rollouts go wrong? And what does that actually cost you? The typical failure looks like this. Software installed overnight, employees blindsided by notifications, pressure with no context, and a policy announced with zero explanation. That kind of rollout has a predictable outcome. Trust collapses, top performers start updating their resumes, and a culture of fear quietly takes over. The numbers back this up. 61% of heavily monitored staff actively oppose being tracked. 90% say strict reporting hurts workplace culture, and 35 to 40% of remote workers are actually more productive when they are not constantly watched. The fix isn't a better tool, it's a better process. Communicate first, set clear expectations, build trust, then use the tool responsibly. That process has a name, the Trust First Rollout Framework. And it's what this chapter is all about. The framework has 4 steps. Start with the why, be transparent, define critical moments, and use data to support rather than punish. The worst approach is dropping a final, non-negotiable policy on your team. The better move is opening with the problem you're actually trying to solve. Something like, we're introducing this because we want to remove blockers, not blame people. When employees understand the purpose behind monitoring, they become far more receptive and genuinely engaged with the process. Step 2 is transparency. And with Super C, that means being specific. You track application usage, active time, and idle time. Live screencast, work replay, and productivity trends each serve a distinct purpose, and your team deserves to know exactly how each one works. Just as important is what Super C does not do. No keystroke logging, no audio recording, no webcam video, and no all-day watching. Being upfront about how monitoring works from day one is the simplest and most effective way to build a genuine baseline of trust. Step 3 is defining critical moments. Live screencast is for specific situations only. An SLA at risk, a system down, an agent stuck, or a direct request for help. And Super C has guardrails built right in. A 1000-minute daily cap, audit logs for every session, and live now defaulting to 0. Collect only what matters. Limit monitoring to data that's genuinely needed. Nothing more. Surveillance asks, why were you slow? Visibility asks, what broke the flow? And that single shift in framing changes everything. With Work Replay, a manager and employee can review the timeline together and pinpoint exactly where a client revision request caused the delay. Surveillance finds someone to blame. Visibility finds the friction point. And that's not a subtle difference. It's a fundamental one. Now let's look at how Super C's 3 features actually work in practice, starting with Live Screencast as a targeted emergency support tool. The right workflow is simple. Open the view, diagnose the problem, offer help, then close it the moment the issue is resolved. No all-day watching. Period. Patrol mode automatically rotates through active screens, scanning for frozen applications, error messages, and system failures. Not watching individuals. The distinction is clear. Surveillance watches continuously, while visibility steps in only when something needs to be unblocked. Work Replay reconstructs the full workday as a single chronological timeline, so you can find exactly where things broke down. Instead of scrolling through hundreds of disconnected screenshots, Work Replay gives you one organized, continuous story of the day. The timeline walks through the whole day. Morning research, Figma wireframes, a client revision request, and the final export, all in sequence. When work slows down, the timeline branches into the real causes: a CRM failure, client revisions, or time spent waiting on approvals. Don't interrogate the person, investigate the system. And work replay gives you the evidence to do exactly that. Finally, productivity trends gives you a long-range view, helping you catch workflow problems before they grow into serious issues. A daily report tells you what happened today. A 30-day trend tells you what's actually changing. And that's where the real insight lives. Watch for focus time dropping, communication load climbing, and workload pressure building. Each one is a signal worth acting on early. These aren't employee problems, they're workflow signals. And the right response is a process conversation, not a performance review. Reviewing long-term operational trends with your leadership team is a fundamentally different act than watching what individuals are doing minute by minute. When you roll out visibility the right way, with transparency, clear boundaries, and a focus on fixing systems, here's what actually happens. Organizations that lead with trust see up to 50% lower employee turnover compared to those relying on surveillance-style monitoring. Trust stays intact, productivity improves, your top talent stays, and SLA performance gets better because agents get help before customers feel the impact. The difference between surveillance and visibility isn't the software, it's the rollout strategy. Visibility and trust aren't competing goals. Follow the framework and you get both. Super C gives you live screencast for real-time support, work replay to understand the full workday, and productivity trends to improve operations over time. And it comes with clear privacy boundaries built in. No keystroke logging, no audio recording, and no webcam monitoring. Daily limits and audit logs aren't just features, they're the mechanisms that make transparency real and keep the platform accountable by design. Understanding work is not the same as watching people. And that's exactly what Super C is built around. Start your 14-day free trial at super.io and see how Super C helps you support your team without losing their trust.